Hey folks, just doing a recap, I suppose. Working on my car, replacing parts. So, starting with what I can find so far on my eBay account of what I've bought. So that was 2020 Toyota right front window regulator motor, $90. There's no picture of it because it's 5 years old now, so I'm surprised this listing is still up there. I have not installed this one yet, which is the door lock actuator driver side. I haven't put that in yet. I got that in 2021, $31 about. And starting from the bottom to the top. As you can see, 2022 mass flow sensor for the Toyota Corolla, which did not work, by the way. The car wouldn't even start. So I ended up having to get one from, I think a year or so later, from an auto shop down Hill End Road, Doonside. There's an auto shop there. The first one they gave me also did not work. I let them know it didn't work and got them to replace it. I don't think they believed me. But the second one that they did get for me did work. My car did start at function when I replaced it. The mass airflow sensor, that is. Up next is the right tail light, which was my fault. There's a blind spot when you come out of my driveway, especially if you're reversing, and I didn't bother checking, and I reversed into basically a delivery truck. Didn't damage them, but damaged my tail light, put a dent in my car that I've got to fix. I haven't done so yet. That was 2022, $85 for that. So May last year, I didn't actually install this or the other side because I bought it secondhand because it was cheap, $140 postage, to try and get the hub and the knuckle together, because they're also pressed together because of the bearing. It was at least nearly $200 a piece for each one. So I saved like $260 just on one of these. So towards the end of last year, I installed that, as well as this one. That was $159.36 for the knuckle and the hub together. Both bought from a wreckers, two separate wreckers. I think it was in South Australia, I think. But I mean, it was cheaper than buying new ones. However, these had only done, I had checked, so they only done like just 100,000 Ks. So mine's done around just over 263,000 Ks now. But yeah, I had to replace these because when I did take mine off on the left side, it was actually bent at least nearly 10 degrees. So my tire kept on wearing on the inside. At first I did thought it was my fault because I had a car accident a couple of years ago in 2021. Or yeah, I think it was 2021 in January of that year. So I thought I had done that, but obviously to me it was obvious that the tire was wearing out before then, so I could at least say that wasn't my fault. This didn't work, and it was also not what they wanted. Front top mounts were also replaced at the same time. I got both for 65 bucks. They want at least 65 bucks for each, or around that price, from an auto shop. When I did jack up my car, the right upper mount for the shock bearing simply just fell out. So I was suppose I was lucky about that. These wheel arch clips that I have not used yet, because my actual flarings, their mounting areas are damaged, so I either have to fix it or replace them, and they're not cheap. Starter motor, got July last year. Have not put that in just yet because my solenoid on my one's a bit faulty. It plays up. Rear shocks I'm about to do next week with the brake rotors and new pads. I've just got to readjust the handbrake. That's not what they actually look like. They don't look like that. See if a picture actually comes up for what they really look like. And it looks like it's not coming up. Okay. Because the ones I've got are actually the female ones, not these male ones. But I get a pair for 50 bucks, which can cost that for each rather than for a pair. So, and the lowers, ball joints as well, I replaced those. $75 for a pair, and they usually charge around 50, I think, for each, or similar. Both hoses, I've replaced the bottom one, not the top one, because the bottom one's connected to the thermostat cover. That's why I replaced it, as well as replacing the thermostat with its O-ring. This is the left caliper. This one, when was this one? Alright, this is, they said this would fit my car, but it's for a 2005 model, which a ceramic brake disc pad will not fit. It's too they're too narrow, not thick enough. So this will rub against the rotor. Your nuts for your axles, they are disposable, because see that part there, you actually have to punch that into a keyhole, what they call a keyhole or key slot, and then you've got to punch it out to remove them. Now this is the correct one for my car, and I had to replace it twice, because I said to him, look, I said to the seller, if it has a grease nipple, then it's not supposed to have one, because modern cars don't have grease nipples, because they're self-contained. And they ignored my message and still sent me the wrong one anyway, and I'd already bought one before that. So I just gave up and used that one, but that which meant I had to buy a grease gun, because I didn't have one. The inner rack ball joint, whatever you want to call it, has this boot on it, so I thought I might as well replace it with a new one. However, it does not fit at all. You cannot put it on there, because this part here is supposed to be flared out, and it's not. The original OEM has a flare which allows itself to sit on it. This one does not. You cannot put on it unless you're somehow underneath the vehicle, which is almost impossible if you don't have a lift, which I do not have. So I used the original boot after I cleaned it, because I found there was nothing really wrong with it other than being dirty. So yeah, I also replaced these. These are for the rear. I have not put those on. I will not be doing that until next week when my payday's due. As I said, I had to replace this caliper twice. This is the second one, which actually fit, and I had no issues after I replaced it and rebuilt the caliper for a second time. These are, you can see when I worked on the car, this is December 2024, the 18th. This is when I was actually working on the car, replacing all this stuff and all the suspension. Also got new shocks as well for the front. I haven't not found those yet in this eBay purchase area. These are, I actually broke this. This is actually the the hood stand holder clip for the side panel. This is for the ECU sensor or coolant sensor that I replaced because mine was pretty corroded. Got a book as well. It has some information in it, but it's mostly has a lot of information on later models, but it does also have my engine in it. I got it because it was actually only $30 with postage. These usually cost $70 just on their own. Also, when I changed out the thermostat, because you got to take out the alternator to change out the thermostat. The alternator plug simply just disintegrated in my hand. So at the moment, it's held together with duct tape, electrical tape at the moment, which is not suitable for water conditions or wet conditions. So I've got to replace it with this one, which has come in the mail today. So there you go. Give some light onto it. So it's in there. I've got to see if it fits yet. So I won't do that until next week. So I'll see if I can find the shocks. If they come up. Oh, wait a minute. The shocks won't come up because I got those from Auto One. On Kilda, who is now closed down. The shocks cost me $200 a piece. I did install them in the car around the 18th of December, around that time period of that month. Not the exact date. I have got receipts and so on for it somewhere for what I've done. So this is simply to get this car, so I can keep this car for another 5 years at least. However, I've still got to do the timing chain because the car is burning oil. So that's an indication of a timing chain as well, which has never been replaced. So that's got to be done after I do the suspension. On eBay, I think they're around $150 for a kit. Everywhere else, I think it's over $300, $400. So I have saved a bit of money doing it all myself. I even had to buy specialized tools. And I'll see if I can show you some of them. See if they come up. Let's have a look. Oh, right. Tools. So, I don't know what that is. Oh, yeah. So, try that. Okay, yay. This is a brake pad piston depressor and a remover for a particular type of piston. Does not remove mine. Mine's different, but I got it simply so I can use it to square socket the piston back in place, push it back in place after I've pulled it out by keeping it on the car, the caliper off the rotor, and by simply using my pedal to push the piston out enough so I can remove it This is wheel alignment, steering wheel holder. Does work. Have tried it. I bought this to fix this glue here, industrial heat resistant glue, cold weld, because one of the holes that for the bolts that hold down the air box is ripped out. So I haven't decided to fix that yet, or to just simply replace the whole valve cover, which I might end up doing when I do the timing. I did get some more tools because I had to remove the inner rack tie rod, but it's not coming up. But yeah, I had to get some specialized tools to do some work because I didn't want to spend these tools. You know, they work within 10 minutes. If I have to do it the hard way, it can take a couple of days just to remove something without breaking it. Unfortunately, I did have to replace the inner tie rod rack rod because I damaged the shred. But once I managed to have a really good look at it, it was really sloppy in its joint, so it had to be replaced anyway. So I suppose I'm glad I did damage the thread on it, because it was rusted on there. Basically, the inner tie rod, the outer tie rod was rusted on there, so I had to cut it off. But in doing so, I damaged the nut. So when I tried to get another nut for it, I went down to the auto shop at Hill End Road. He gave me a free nut he found in his bits and pieces, without checking the thread, and the thread was too thick and wouldn't fit. So I basically had to order a whole tie rod end in a tie rod, in a rack tie rod, I forget what they call them, and to replace the whole thing for the nut. So I changed it all out anyway, after leaving it on there, just so I could drive around. But I ended up replacing it all, because to do it safely, you got to jack up the front of the car and put the front of the car up on stands, and it's just a pain in the butt to do. So yeah, this is part 1 of fixing the car. I did pass rego this year in January. I still got to replace the left rear wheel tire, I've been told, but it was enough. It was still good enough to pass rego, but it needs to be replaced, so I've got to do that soon as well. So that will have to be done. But as I said, next week I will be replacing the rear shocks, stabilizer rods, rear brake rotors and pads next week. So yeah, pain in the butt time, but if I don't do it, I won't be able to afford to have a car. It's just my reality. So as I said, part 1. Thanks for watching. While I'm at it, I might as well show you if I can see where I'm going. There's the parts. That's the airbox. That's the rear shocks here. Stabilizers. Starter motor, and the rear rotors. Rear rotors are different than the front ones, simply because they are thinner. The same with the brake pads are different. Making a mess I am. The rear brake pads are here. So that has to be sorted out, as I've still left out some tools. I bought those on eBay, $40. So yeah. Thanks again.